Hello, my name is Enzo,
Hi, I'm Isabel.
and we're in Hudson today. We're really excited to be interviewing Lianne Bridges, and it's a really nice fall day, isn't it?
It is. We were here about a month ago in the summer, and it's so gorgeous to be back here with the leaves changing colors, and can you hear the breeze? It's a
Yes.
beautiful day.
Nice and cool. So we'll see you in a bit.
See you in a bit.
So Lianne, obviously you met tons of people and inspired tons of people. Does anyone or anything inspire you? Is there a movement that inspires you? Is there a person that inspires you?
There's a lot of different people that inspire me. I think, primarily my clients do. They impress the hell out of me all the time, and to see them gaining clarity, gaining confidence, and then going out there and starting to make a difference, really, really inspires me. And that's what keeps me motivated. There's a lot of, there's so many amazing authors out there as well. The ones that are maybe more known. People like Simon Sinek, Start With Why, to Brene Brown, who talks about vulnerability, to Elizabeth Gilbert, Big Magic, to Daniel H. Pink, who talks about using all parts of our mind. There's so many amazing authors out there. And one of them, I think Robin Sharma says, who's really focused on leadership and consciousness and leadership, is that it's like the more you can read, or even if you listen to books on tape, the more, there's so much great information. If you can do it on a regular basis, helps you expand. Because I always want to bring new things to my clients. I don't want to do the same thing over and over.
Speaking of expanding, do you grow as a cause
Yes.
of having to work with people?
Yeah, I think one of the things that's is really neat is so it's partly that I'm always trying to find the next thing and be more innovative, but it's also, you probably find this with your client or your the people that are watching, or when they meet with their clients, often it's kind of a mirror of what they're going through. So they might meet somebody and they're going through, I don't know, maybe fear, or they're dealing with someone who's not compassionate with them, or tolerance, or a health issue, whatever. And it's often something that's kind of percolating in us. So when I work with clients, I'm always amazed that there's something that's being mirrored back. And so it challenges me. And sometimes some clients that I've had that have been the hardest, I'm like, oh, why is this happening? And I hear in my a voice in my head saying, the hardest clients are your best teachers. They teach you how to be a better teacher, or a better practitioner, or whatever. And so to step back from that and say, okay, what is this client trying to teach me in the difficult time I'm having? Oh, I need more compassion. I need to maybe bring someone else in who does, because I'm missing some expertise, let go of that, whatever it might be, and to learn that is really important.
Sounds like it's cultivating humility.
Yeah.
There could be so many different things.
Yeah.
Mindfulness again.
Mindfulness, yeah. It's so important.
Because it's, we get caught up in it, in that situation, but it's harder to step back and just observe your behavior.
Yeah.
And that's the only way we progress, is to...
Yeah. And it's tapping into your intuition too. And it's not something that we learned in corporate. It was like, go, your job's at risk. Someone's like risking, kind of challenging you, and get up, as opposed to now is to learn, is this the right client for me? Don't just try to take that client because, and again, I'll tell this to my clients, because, there's money on the table. It's seeing if there's a right fit. And then if it goes along and the fit doesn't seem right, do you just abandon it, or do you kind of come back and say, okay, what can I learn to become better? And then and then also recognize that balance. There are certain things you cannot control, and you can't just keep, so there's learning through mindfulness. What is that right balance of when to let go and when to keep working?
And maybe at that point too, it's smart to just say, okay, someone else can help you in this area that you want to go in, go off and do that.
And I work with a lot of life coaches and health practitioners, emotional health practitioners, spiritual practitioners with my clients, because often I can't do that work with them. I can go to a certain level, but then if they've got some really deep wound that they're trying to overcome, and it's stopping them from overcoming fear, moving forward in their life, I'll recommend different practitioners. And that's why I loved like working with people in partnerships like Sharon you mentioned, and going to Costa Rica, because that's where together she works on the kind of emotional blocks, and I work on what's possible, your dreams. So when you can marry the two together, you know, she can do a bit of the purpose of dreams, and I can do a bit of the roadblocks, but she's much better at one and I'm much better at the other. So you have to work together. So it's to find those people like you guys have that, you know, complement each other and pass people on back and forth. Then you're offering a much more holistic service offering to people, right?
Right, and complementary. But it sounds like, I find that very fascinating. It sounds like a fine line of where do you, I'm curious if you have, I don't need to put you on the spot really, but if you happen to have an example of a time when you kind of crossed that boundary where you came to a point where a crossroads where you asked yourself, do I continue, or like do I continue because there's something to learn for everyone here, or is this a good time to just maybe refer to someone else who has an expertise in this? Or
well, yes, there's a lot. I would say probably at least 3/4 of my clients, I refer them to somebody else as well. Okay. And sometimes, you know, it goes against my business training. You got someone in the hot seat to sell, you don't push them over there. At least 3/4, I'll say, you may not be 100% ready. Why don't you go see this person, you know, for X, or sometimes I say 2 people, because you might need 2 different things. And letting them go, I realize often a good proportion come back. Conversely, when I haven't done that and I've just said, I'll work with them, it just takes so much more time and effort for me, and then I get into, and then it's partway down that I have to do that, you know? Right. But I think it's really tapping into your intuition and through the mindfulness and saying, is there something else I can do? So sometimes, you know, for example, I've been on a path, like I take people through a real prescribed path, but sometimes people don't like the prescribed path. You're getting along and they're like, you know, and so it's realizing that maybe I can't get them from all the way from here to here, from A to Z, but if I can move them to C or D, that's what they need right now. And so it's readjusting the way that I approach them and work with them as well, and seeing if that works. And then if they need somebody else, if that works, it's just kind of keeping, you know, in touch with what is it that they need. It's always focusing on really what does the customer need, with boundaries for myself too, you know? Right. So there are certain things I can do.
Because like you were saying, when you're not in your element, or when you're just not, when the fit or the match is just not ideal or harmonious, then you, like you're saying, you expend so much more energy, and then it's not really a pleasant experience. I would imagine you're not getting as much joy and passion out of it.
Not at all, and it just costs more. So you're taking away your time and energy that you could be where you can have more of an impact. And there's somebody else for them that can do something that's really more aligned with their passion and purpose that can help them. And sometimes it's just a timing thing. A lot of times I've met people, like you're saying, a year later or 2 years later, they come back. They weren't ready.
You know, they have your business card.
Yeah.
They remember something, you know, there's a connection, but they're not ready to take action until...
And a lot of times people will go to other coaches. They'll go to a business coach or a life coach. And then I have someone right now who's spent tens of thousands of dollars and gone to, and then she still hasn't moved forward. And it's really because, and she's working with me now, is because she hasn't identified that real sense of purpose. She's like that passionista with lots of different ideas, but those other coaches weren't designed to help her to really narrow that down in a really clear way. And now that she's getting clarity, she's like, oh, I don't have to do everything, you know? So sometimes it's just as much for them as finding that right person, you know?
It's like I said at the beginning, there's so many people that need your help and they don't even know it. You know, some people are they're just lost, you know. I'm talking about therapists here. But that's why I'm glad you're here.
Oh, thank you.
So one of the things that you've talked about, I feel like you've touched on many times, you know, while we've been talking, is this phenomenon, or this I would say phenomenon that's very common, of people who come to you because they may have either many passions, many interests, or it could be the opposite, that they're just going through, maybe they're feeling a little depressed and they've been so disconnected from themselves and their passions for so long that they don't feel that they really have any. So I thought it would be fun just to hear, you know, any tips you might have for people who are just starting, who are feeling lost and who are feeling called to, and they have this urge to start developing this vision, a clearer vision of, you know, what do I want? What's meaningful? What does a meaningful life look like to me, or a meaningful work? Where
Sure.
can people start?
Sure, for sure. This came to me on my own journey, is when I talk about the process that I figured out a little bit. It came from my own journey trying to figure it out, coupled with the work that I used to do in business. I used to lead organizations in strategic visioning. And there's actually a similarity between the two.
Right.
And really what the similarity is starting looking within first. So a lot of organizations, same as people, they look outwards. What can I be doing? Who is my customer? Which are all good things, but that's the second step. The first step is really understanding yourself. So through self-awareness, starting with mindfulness, understanding, I kind of go through 8 principles with people, but it starts with understanding what brings meaning to you. You know, what is it that you have a sense of purpose, that you love, you know, and what is your passion? Those two things together, your passion and your purpose, are not always exactly the same thing. So I'm passionate about skiing, but it doesn't bring a lot of meaning to me. You know, it gave me some meaning when I was working at the kids' school, but I wasn't really passionate about that. And so when we can bring the two together, that's, you know, very powerful. That's really kind of starts to focus a little bit on where our calling is. But we also need to look at, and this was one of the mistakes I made, was we have to also look at our training, our education, our experience, the tools that we already have. So many people throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
And I did that. I went, okay, I'm going through a spiritual awakening. I'm so curious. I'm passionate about it. It brings meaning. But forget my business background, you know, totally abandon that. But that's where all of my credibility had, all the tools I had that could really combine to help people,
Right.
you know, bringing more consciousness and purpose together. But it's also understanding what your unique talents and gifts are. Because when we understand that a little bit, it helps us to understand where we're in the flow. And our talents sometimes are elements that we're criticized for in our life. You know, like it's often a talent that's really overused. I used to be criticized for being stubborn, which I am. But I'm very thorough and dedicated and don't give up. So that's like a, you know, kind of a strength. Sometimes people don't know what their unique talents are, but they're things that we have. So when you marry your expertise and unique talents with your passion and purpose, that's when you really get to being more of combining your career and your calling together. But then there's kind of 4 other principles. One is what we've touched on a little bit, is your hero's journey, your own personal experience to bring in, because a lot of times people have gone through some major things, but they haven't been trained on it, they haven't had a degree on it or whatever, and often they shy away saying, well, I don't know. But they haven't learned it from a book, they've learned it through life, and that's often way more valuable. And it starts to point to your really true divine essence and where you need to be going. And then there's another thing that we call more your archetype of what type of person and type of work are you here to be doing? Are you, and there's kind of 7 that I talk about, but are you more of a teacher archetype? Are you more of a healer archetype? Are you more of a merchant? Are you an outsider, someone who's here just to stir up? Or you're an artist? So understanding that and really kind of figuring that out for yourself. And then finally is understanding your unique way of working. You know, what is your creativity? How, you know, a lot of people, like I didn't think I was creative because I don't paint and I don't sing or whatever, but I am creative with ideas, you know, and so being able to tap in what you are creative and bringing that into your work. And then also, again, we talked a little bit about kind of that idea of being, what's your style? Like if you're a multi-passionista, you're a starter, but you need to be able to honor that and not feel bad about it. But you might be more of someone who's a builder, who takes other people's ideas, or a connector, someone who brings people together to help the builder and the starter. You may be a specialist who focuses on one area. But when you're really a specialist and you're trying to be a starter, it doesn't work, you know?
Right.
So it's looking at all of those 8 principles and understanding those for yourself and seeing where they overlap, so that you can get, you know, your meaning, passion, flow, your expertise, the way you're uniquely designed and how you work naturally, so you're more authentic. And then you go out and look at, okay, then who's my ideal client? And that goes back to the conversation we said about community. Then from there I understand, how does that define our community? But it's really starting to understand ourselves more and more.
Sounds very profound and
It's a big answer, but it's a lot of what we do,
Yeah, that's great.
Totally all-encompassing.
Yeah. Awesome.
Could you tell us how people can contact you? You have a website, an email if you want, or
Absolutely. So I'm on a lot of social media, but my hub, and I always tell people, have your hub as your website. So it's designingtransformation.com.
Okay.
And you can friend me on Facebook. It's Lianne Bridges. My email address is leanne@designingtransformation.com, and my number is 514-825-0732, so people can phone me to set up an appointment. I always give people a half an hour free consultation, because it gives people an opportunity to see what I have to offer, but also to see if there's a fit, if there's something I can help them with. A lot of times people don't, continue right away, but they've come out with some information or tools from that half an hour that can help them move forward. So there's no obligation or anything like that.
Excellent.
Great.
Yeah.
And do you have any projects coming up, or just quickly, what's coming up, or what's brewing right now at Designing Transformation?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I've been doing is really developing my programs online. So I have a combination of people can work with me kind of on demand. So things are pre-recorded and all my lessons are there.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing this.
Yeah, and what's really wonderful about that is I also am able to take all the everything pre-recorded, the lessons, and I have also an ongoing group online program, so that when we get together online, is we're focusing on, you've already done lesson 1, you've gone through, you have exercise, and now the time we spend together is really focused on what are you having difficulty with, that type of thing. And so I'm doing that more and more, creating all of the lessons that I teach online, so I have it on demand, in group, or privately. But also doing the retreat that I mentioned, I like bringing people away from their day-to-day, whether it's half day, which you guys did, or full week down in Costa Rica. I'm really passionate about doing more and more of those things. And I love the opportunity to speak and to do this kind of thing. I'm really, really open to it. So if anyone wants me to come to their community or their potluck or whatever, I'd love the opportunity to do that. Plus I'm writing my book, so.
Maybe the
Wow,
potluck.
it sounds busy.
Have a
But
couple
the
of
good kind of
potlucks
busy.
coming up.
Yeah, I'd
Let
love
you
to
know
do
that.
that for sure.
You mentioned another project coming up in June. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you very much. So I'm just so honored that I've been able to present a full week workshop at the Omega Institute, which is what I call the NFL of personal development, holistic living.
So Lianne, I want to thank you so much for allowing us into your beautiful house.
Yes,
Once
thank
again,
you.
this nice room, and sharing us your skills and knowledge.
Thank you so much, and for really giving me the opportunity to express what I love to do so much with your audience.
Well, it's been fun. It's been fun and easy to
And
chat with you.
And I promise you to come back in maybe a year to see how we've progressed, because I know we've talked a little bit about maybe going global, and I'd really love to see where things are going to go for you. So I'm very excited to see how that happens.
Well, thank you very much.